Why, hello, friends. How are things going?
So far, so good, Dillis.
Glad to be fogging a mirror.
Awesome. This afternoon, evening, morning, depending on where you are on the planet, we are going to get into a delicious conversation, I think, about Bell Hooks' book, All About Love. Now, this book was published in 2001. And I couldn't help but think, Chris and Marcia, how prescient her writing was and how it still lands in 2026. Um, and what does it truly mean to love? And what happens when we build a world around it? And I'm loving the way that Bell Hooks comes at it because she's not coming from it centered within a Christian context. And she's writing for an audience that doesn't necessarily identify as religious and or spiritual. Again, this is 2001, y'all, right?
Right.
And so for me, this book caused me to go, mind blown. Two, I want to read it again. Three, who do I get to talk to about it? So I'm so happy, Chris Blake and Marcia Nordmeyer, that you both said, let's go. So,
Ooh.
with the time we have, let's jump right in. First impressions. Is this a book you recommend or not? I've already told you what I want to do.
Yes, 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 yes. Chapter one, she's like, okay, let's define our terms. And I'm like, okay, little Miss Chris Blake, star pupil, there
Oh,
you go. So she goes in and gives her glossary right out of the gate, which I appreciated, defining love um, as a giving of yourself for someone else's spiritual growth. And again, she's not talking about, like, I pay the gas money to drive you to church every weekend, but spiritual growth meaning your the betterment, I give of myself for the betterment of yourself and for the betterment of your future and the betterment of your well-being.
mm-hmm,
You know, because I can,
mm-hmm,
not because I have to.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So,
I'm intrigued that you said that, Marcia, because when I read the intro, I was getting frustrated because she hadn't defined love. She's talking about love, and she hadn't defined it. And then I hit chapter one, and of course, fell instantly in love with that chapter. Uh, and it's really essential, paramount to define love in our culture.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I wrote about love. Love is the most malleable word in the English language. People love coffee. They love to hit the snooze button. They love Emily Dickinson, which would surprise her tremendously. They love their Hoka shoes. They love their family. They love to win. They love their dog and or cat. They love strength training. They love Ryan Gosling. They love it when you say that. They love going fast. They love peace and quiet. They love country, electronic, indie, pop, classical, reggae, jazz, hip hop, opera, blues, gospel, R&B, and B, and soul. They love Harry Potter. They love Green Hills. They love making love. You got to define your term.
Yep.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's one of the things about the English language, right? That when we speak when we meet that word in other languages, it's so much richer. There are ways to talk about different types of love. When we think about the Greeks, when we look at the New Testament, agape, eros, phileo, that's just off the top. And I know there are other languages. If you're going to talk about love of a thing versus love of a person, it lands differently. So she argues that most of us were taught to think of love as a feeling rather than a practice. And that's something we fall right into rather than something we choose and do. So I'm wondering, when you look at your own life, how have you experienced love as an action or a commitment rather than just an emotion?
Mm. Wow.
I
Go
had a
ahead,
student.
Marcia. Jump in.
I I had a. I will. Thank you, Chris. I had a student ask me about this a couple months ago, and I said, it's not, unicorn farts and sunshine.
Ah,
I said, I said,
ah.
it's a lot of times it's standing there at the kitchen sink scraping the cheese off of a plate because the other person had a bad day, even though you just did it yesterday.
Yeah.
It's those practical things that nobody wants to do, but you do it because, you're someone's partner for life. And sometimes it means, working on that gravy stain for a little bit
Oh, yeah.
because they're burnt out over something that you don't even understand right now. But
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I think, Chris, that list you gave of how we love all the things, we have so many loves, right? And we use that one word love to articulate, and as someone who also is a partnered person, Marcia, getting ready to celebrate 30 years with this guy that I really like, right? And what came up for me very early in our relationship, having gone through the challenges of trying to become parents, then becoming parents, and now I'm in that category of parenting where I have young adults in my home, right? What I learned early on was love was not a feeling, love is a choice, right? Love is a decision that you make. Because I
Mhm.
don't always feel loving, right? However, if I'm in relationship with my partner, if I'm in relationship with my children, if I'm going to be in relationship with the people that are part of my life, I'm choosing to love. So love is not a feeling, and I think family, and we're going to touch on that because Bell Hooks touches on that.
Yeah.
That yeah, that's so when I think about love and how I've experienced it, it is an action and a commitment. It's
Yeah.
not a
Mhm.
feeling.
And since you pulled out the anniversary card there on 30 years, next month Yolanda and I are celebrating 50 years, golden anniversary.
Yes.
Um, and if you're doing the math, yes, Yolanda was only 9 years old when we got married,
Oh my
and
goodness.
it's not legal, but we are not telling our children. So
No.
so uh, I think I think the two best ways to actualize love are to get married and to have children.
Hmm.
Um, Having children also gives you such a wonderful glimpse into what God has to deal with in dealing with us, and God's love toward us, our love toward our children, and what we are frustrated by
Hmm.
with our children. Um, and that action part is really so important. We're going to get into this more, I know. I'm thinking of a story that Marcia's familiar with. When I had a bumper sticker made at Union uh, that said Union used to be Union College, now Union Adventist University. That says Union makes better lovers, and then in parentheses, 1 Corinthians 13,
Hmm.
um, which scandalized some people. The idea, what does it mean to be a lover? And I had been preaching this in my classroom, everything we do is for love, and love is an action, and Jesus is about making us all better lovers. and so put it on a bumper sticker, and it got snatched up and stashed in the principal's, no, sorry, the president, I'm in the wrong, wrong school, in the president's office for years. Wasn't brought out except when people got engaged, then they could get one of these if two students got engaged. But you know what students did? They took a loving action in response to that. And the next year, they made wristbands and T-shirts that said "Union makes better lovers." See 1 Corinthians 13. Um, and so they did their own resistance and justice, you
Mm,
know, in going after that and saying, "Yeah, we will not be silenced on this. It's too important."
mhm, mhm. So I think what you're naming is that love is action, love is commitment, and coming from our own tradition as Christians who are Adventists, the scriptures are rich with this example of love being an action. And
Yeah,
I think about one of the books that Hooks references throughout this book is The Road Less Traveled, um, and M. Scott Peck's book, The Road Less Traveled. I remember reading that book, and that was also a profound book for me, and I started recommending it to other people. I do need to read it again to refresh my memory. And when I think about, how she talks about how we confuse affection with loving and feelings with loving, as
yeah,
opposed to this decision that we're going to make,
yeah.
and the way she ends the chapter, because I really want to, and we're not going to go chapter by chapter, but and I don't know if you have quotes that you want to pull. Marsha already took one of my quotes.
Oh, sorry.
One of the things that she says is, far too many people don't know what love is. Now, this book was written in 2001. Oh my gosh, and here we are in 2026. Dare I say that people still don't know what love is in our culture, right?
Yeah.
They really don't know what it is. And while it is true, Chris, that unions, committed relationships, and even the ability to raise children
Yeah,
are are ways that
yeah,
um, we can encounter love. I think about folks who are unmarried. I think about folks who are married and don't have children, or people who are partnered and don't have children. Are we saying that they can't experience love if they don't, get to be in those kinds of family units? We're not saying
no,
that.
we're not. Yeah, and this is Father's Day, and we had a tribute to fathers, and so in our little church, fathers stood up, and I looked around at a lot of adult males who couldn't stand, uh, and felt for them. I got to say,
Yeah.
um, no, it's definitely not exclusionary. Love is inclusive.
Hmm.
My point was that I received deeper understandings, deeper insights through being married and having children.
Hmm.
Um, and
Hmm.
I'm not saying, other people can, and as I'm saying that, I think it bears our reading what exactly Hooks is saying the definition of love is from The Road Less Traveled, Peck's book from 1978,
Hmm.
last millennium. Here's the quote. Uh, Love is the will to extend oneself for the purpose of nurturing one's own or another's spiritual growth.
Hmm.
That's it. Yep.
Love is as love does. Love is an act of will, namely both an intention and an action.
Hmm.
Will also implies choice. We do not have to love, we choose to love. And I think that nurturing one's own or another's spiritual growth is sort of what I was aiming at with those two relationships, both of them nurturing relationships. And how do we nurture relationships in the workplace? How do we nurture relationships in a church with people who are unlovely?
Mm.
Uh, and that's what she's addressing.
So I want us to jump right then into the next chapter because I think that sets us up to dig a little bit around what lovelessness looks like, which is what she names in the book as well. So she starts off by saying that she starts with the youngest denominator or the younger folk as being able to help define and shape what love is. She talks about how children within family systems experience love,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
And she calls that chapter childhood love lessons.
Yeah.
But the chapter is called Justice, Childhood Love Lessons. Did anything stand out to you all in that chapter? Because several things stood out to me, but I don't
Mm.
want to hog the mic.
Go ahead, Marcia. Jump in.
I just, I teach the preschool kids at my church,
Uh-huh.
and when people ask me what possesses me to choose the hard room, like I'm like, why wouldn't you? They're the most fun.
Yes.
Um, they're just the way I explain it to people is that when a little kid, comes out, their their love switch is on by default,
Yes.
and when they're in my classroom, it hasn't flipped off yet, and we hope it never flips off.
Yes.
Hope
That's
they
right.
never flip me off either.
Yes.
Um, but it's just it's on,
Yeah.
and they're precious and they're loving. Like we do this. We recently started doing a sibling recognition little ceremony, if you can call it that, in which when somebody it becomes an older sibling,
Mm-hmm.
there's a new baby in their family, we bring them up and we give them an older sibling gift and we sing he's got the whole world in his hands, and we talk about how there are things that your little baby at your house is only going to be able to learn from you, and we affirm that kid that you are important to God and so is this little baby.
Mm-hmm.
And it just gives me chills every time. We had one kid today whose mom had twins on Thursday night, and they're not even home from the hospital yet. And
Mm.
it gave me goosebumps. And how can you take something so pure
Mm-hmm.
and not give it all the love you can?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
um, how can
So
you justify smacking the cheese out of it? I can't.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah, and when you say give it all the love you can, that morphs for some people to give license or all the license,
Right.
all the toys, and all the um, goodies that
Yeah.
are accessible.
Right.
But Hook says this here on page 18.
Again, here you go defining terms, Mr.
Yes.
Blake.
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry,
Oh.
sorry,
I expect nothing different.
that's how I roll. When children are overindulged, either materially or by being allowed to act out, this is a form of neglect.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
Um,
hmm.
so, so how to care for children, and she gets into that in another chapter. To boost self-esteem. Uh, you know, people make fun of participation trophies, um, and coming from an athletic background, I have to admit I have participated in making fun of participation trophies. Uh, I I do think um, defining how we nurture that spirituality and to give that and to provide healthy boundaries for people. Otherwise, I used to say this to parents when I give talks. When I was editor of a youth magazine, which RIP Insight, um, and that is the surest way to sabotage your child is to consistently bail them out.
Mm.
Yes.
Mm.
That's the surest way because then they are never in touch with reality.
Mm-hmm.
And reality is where God is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you get the closer we get to reality, the closer we get to God.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not just bailing out. It's also providing accountability and being there on the other side, helping to lift them up, saying, "Hey, let's go after this again."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think Hooks's argument, I love that she starts, when we're talking about defining of terms, I love that she starts by saying, love is a decision, love is an action, is a commitment. And then she starts with the youngest amongst us humans. And she says that, um, Chris, on page 19, love will not be present if the grown ups who parent don't know how to love. And
Yep.
so she
Yep.
squarely names it that when we find a culture that doesn't know what love is, when we find people who experience lovelessness and practice lovelessness, it's because they don't know what love is. And she
Mhm.
also goes along to name, which I thought was really interesting, especially because I'm coming out of the African diaspora, um, this idea of how some of us were raised in contexts where we experienced corporal punishment or we experienced meanness, and we were also told we were loved. And so we were trying, like,
Yeah.
what, you put your hands on me, right? And that, but you also told me it's because you loved me. Why you put your hands on me? But the
Yeah.
way you
Mhm.
put your hands on me, it was harmful, right? And so this confusion around
Yeah.
what really determines what love is a very real part
Right.
of our culture.
Yeah. That line, "This hurts me more than it's hurting you,"
Yes.
is really well.
What a
Let,
cop out.
let me turn things around here. See
Yeah.
how it goes then. Uh, she says two places in the intro. Ultimately, cynicism
Hmm.
is the great mask of the disappointed and betrayed heart.
Mm.
Cynicism and lovelessness is more common than love.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is an epidemic. Lovelessness is an epidemic,
Mhm.
uh, and as you both know, it's cyclical. Uh, Accent on the sick.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I think when she names justice, this chapter, as justice and learning it from childhood, if from childhood you've experienced lovelessness, or if from childhood you've experienced abuse, or as well as the lack of love, this commitment to my thriving both as a whole person, then it makes sense why we have adults who do not love. It makes sense why we have a world where love is not even, why we can love our car and love our chocolate and love our coffee, right? And love all the things. And those aren't bad things, but we don't see love as something that we're committing to through the thick and the thin, through the highs and the lows. And what I also love is she's not saying that that we should never respond to wrongdoing, right? She doesn't say that we don't
Yes.
punish someone for doing something. She's just naming the ways that we go about doing it
Mhm.
are harmful, and we
Yes.
find other ways
Mhm.
of responding to that. The other quote I'd share, she said, parents who come from unloving homes have never learned how to love and cannot create loving home environments or see them as realistic, whether or not we have enough television shows, talk shows. I mean, I'm thinking this is 2001 when she did this, y'all, and we've gone through Dr. Phil, we've gone through Maury Povich, we've gone through Oprah. Like, we've had all kinds of talking heads. We have all kinds of people who, she even mentions John Gray, tongue in cheek, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus.
Yep.
Like, there's all this literature out there on love, and yet, here in 2026, I would still say we have an epidemic of lovelessness, and we still don't understand what love is.
Yeah. Yep. Agreed. Marcia, you got anything to say on children?
I love mine. I
All right,
I
for
sent
the
my son
record.
a link to this podcast, and I hope that's what he's watching over there in the corner of the basement. He's giving me a thumbs down.
Oh,
I think he's doom scrolling TikToks.
oh, lo siento, pobrecito.
Oh, Calvin.
So, so the question that comes up for me, which is part of what you said, Chris, if we're naming lovelessness as a result of us not knowing what love is, um, do we see lovelessness showing up within our spaces,
Mm,
like churches,
Hmm.
families, or movements?
mm.
And what would it look like if we were to choose love instead, real love instead? Or have we defined real? I mean, I think we've talked about it. Love is sacrificial, right? Have we said that already? And this love is caring about someone's spiritual, their
Nur-
overall well-being, and their
Nurturing, yeah,
thriving and their nurturing, right?
that's right. That's right. Yeah, I think caring and nurturing. There's some nuancing there. That nurturing involves active involvement. And that's what Just Love Collective is about.
Uh
If I
huh.
could put in a little plug here,
Yeah.
uh, is about the marriage of justice and love
Mhm.
um, in a communal enterprise.
Mhm.
And so love takes place in community, um, and I'm really eager to get to the next chapter because it's my favorite chapter, so I'm going to shut up.
Oh, then let's just jump to
Who
your favorite chapter.
who
Let's go.
who was it that said justice is what love looks like in public?
Yeah,
Was
Cornell
that a
West.
Cornell was.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yep.
Mhm.
There you go. I have a T-shirt with that.
All right. So let's go. You want to talk about honesty? Is that where you wanted to go?
Honestly, I do.
Woo!
Let's go.
Yes.
Let's go.
Woo!
Hello. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to jump in,
Jump
Marshall.
in.
Do
Uh,
it.
um, I believe that the ninth commandment is more important today than the fourth. That on a commitment to honesty is more important than a commitment to Sabbath keeping,
My.
uh, because
Mm.
so much else hangs on that. And I'll tell you, here's my personal story. When I was growing up, I got in a lot of trouble and I lied a lot to try to get out of it, which of course got me into more trouble. I was literally, uh, I was literally confined to my house for a year when I was in middle school, uh, grounded, as they said. Um, it has a different meaning, so I was loath to say grounded because
Yes.
grounded can be good,
Yeah.
but it wasn't for me. Well, anyway, um, and so when I became a junior in high school, I decided that's it. I'm not going to lie anymore. Now, at that point, and both of you know I'm kind of a stubborn person.
Hmm.
Uh, and so I believe God loves stubborn people,
Yes.
just get us pointed in the right direction. So it's like Jacob, I will not let you go. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what anybody says, we're sticking.
Mhm.
Doesn't matter.
Mhm.
Okay? So I just decided I'm going to tell the truth from now on. And it doesn't matter what anybody says, nobody's going to coerce me into lying. I'm just going to do this. I'm not going to say that I've been 100% uh, faithful on that in the intervening decades. I will say that's my commitment.
Mhm.
And it changed my life.
Mhm.
It
Mm.
changed my life because, for a lot of reasons, it gave me a true north for a compass.
Mhm.
Otherwise, your spiritual compass is continually spinning.
Mhm.
There's, it doesn't matter. We can see this in our national government now. It doesn't matter what certain people say, you know, doesn't matter. They're just going to say whatever they want. There's no true north.
Mhm.
And so this commitment to honesty is the greatest gift that we can give to our children. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm.
it's the greatest gift that we can give to each other, to our church.
Mm-hmm.
Be transparent, authentic, um, and so. Well, I got a lot more to say.
Can I
Uh,
tag in? Can I jump in? Will you hold
yeah,
your thought? Because I wanted to say that I too, like you, Chris, when I was little, got in a lot of trouble for not telling the truth.
yeah,
I mean, I got spanked for it. I didn't get grounded, but I got lots of consequences.
yeah,
And around, I don't know, I don't remember what age I was, but I remembered the first time I told my mom the truth about something, and she was like, okay. I was like, what?
yeah.
I was like, are you serious right now? She was like, yeah. And she used to tell me all the time she would rather live with a thief than live with a liar. She said I
Mm.
cannot live with a liar in the house. And I want to tell you that um, it was the Holy Spirit that fully convicted me and said, enough.
Yeah,
Just tell the truth.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Deal with
yeah.
the consequences of it. And like you, Chris, because that became my true north,
Yep.
I am going to be. I'm just allergic to people being dishonest.
Yeah.
Like
Mm.
I'm like, why? Like we cause so much more harm when
Yeah.
we don't tell the truth than when we tell the truth, right? And
And when telling the truth in love, as Paul puts it, is maybe an important addition. There is a brutal truth. There are ways to tell the truth where we absolutely cut people off at the kneecaps,
yes,
and it's also the case that you can tell the truth in love, and it's also the case that, as Robert Louis Stevenson writes, the cruelest lies are often told in silence
mm,
Mm.
when we should have spoken up,
yes,
or when people raise an eyebrow when they shouldn't. You
yes,
know, so it's not just the words; it's action there too.
yeah. She starts the chapter off by saying the heart of justice is truth telling, seeing ourselves and the world the way it is rather than the way we want it to be.
Yeah.
Again, she wrote this in 2001.
Mm.
Look at the mess of fire we're in right now because we're trying to make America great again.
Uh,
Oof.
Because that's dishonest. I said
well,
it. Okay.
yeah, and getting rid of history
Yes.
so that my feelings aren't hurt.
Yes.
You
Mm.
know, make America great again for whom, of course, is the
Yes.
question.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Is there anything else on this chapter you want us to touch on, Chris?
Page 46. More than ever before, we as a society need to renew a commitment to truth telling. Yeah. Where the will to power is paramount, love will be lacking.
No.
Mm.
Lying has become accepted and commonplace in our daily interactions. Yeah, and uh, sorry to reference my writing again, but in Searching for God to Love, I spent an entire chapter on this, um, uh, on telling the truth and how important it is, stalking the wild truth.
Mm-hmm.
It's just people cannot trust us otherwise. Blaise Pascal,
Mm-hmm.
people despise religion. They hate
Mhm.
it and fear it is true. To remedy this, we must begin by showing that religion is not contrary to reason. And
Mm-hmm.
that was written a long time before Bell Hooks wrote this book, a long time
Mm-hmm.
before. So um, it's been around a while. The
Mm-hmm.
truth will set us free, Jesus said.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And Marcia, I don't know if you have anything to say on this chapter because I want to again make our way through.
Ugh.
The, go ahead, because then I want to give a closing line from the chapter.
I worked for a brilliantly kind person at a software company. He was our vice president of marketing and sales, and for every new hire, myself included, we would sit in his office and he had a PowerPoint that he would go through about his, the way he managed and his, all of his idiosyncrasies, the fact that he was colorblind and that he would be relying upon us to do color checks and whatnot. And he would say, you know what? We're just going to say mistakes always happen. We are human. No one will die because we get an ad out late. No one will die because of a typo or a misplaced file, but lying about it is a fireable offense.
Wow.
Nice.
And I do that with the people I manage too.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
And I really appreciate the way that he communicated our vulnerable humanity and the fact that he's gonna goof too,
mhm,
um, and that we're all, we're gonna ride in the boat together.
mhm, mhm. I
Yep.
think for me, as a child who learned late the the importance of truth telling, when I was privileged to be able to parent the two that we have, early on I would just say to them, "Hey, just tell me the truth.
Yep,
I'm not gonna love you less. Just tell me the truth.
That's right.
exactly.
Tell me what happened." Right? And they just tell the truth. I was like, "What happened? This is what happened."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
before someone thinks I'm saying my children are perfect, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we tried to create an environment where telling the truth is the first response, because we're not trying to shame them or make examples out of them. Um, it's just saying what happened and being able to hold space for them to say that. And what Hooks says, um, she says, to be loving, we willingly hear each other's truth, and most important, we affirm the value of truth telling. Lies may make people feel better, but they do not help them to know love. Because that's the whole thing.
That's it.
Hmm.
That's cool. I want to make one more point before we leave.
Yeah.
And that is, the three evils that Martin Luther King talked about: racism, materialism. I mean, racism, militarism,
Mm-hmm.
and excessive materialism.
Mm-hmm.
And that gets into what she says here on 47. Advertising is one of the
Yes.
cultural mediums that has most sanctioned
Yes.
lying,
Yes.
keeping people in a constant state of lack, in perpetual desire, strengthens the marketplace economy.
Mm-hmm.
Lovelessness is a boon to consumerism.
Yes, it is.
Woo, that's gold
Yes,
right
it is.
there.
Again, that's why this book for me is like a must read, right?
Yeah.
Because she's writing this in 2001. We're living it in 2026, like every single day.
Yep.
The silence around the things that we're seeing, the lovelessness that people are experiencing, um, our inability, especially for those of us who identify as Christians, not speaking out, not responding to lovelessness when we see it enacted in laws and actions within our neighborhoods, our communities, and our cities, and this wringing of the hands, like, well, somebody needs to do something about it, but it's not going to be me. Well, if it's not us, then who, right? Oh,
Well, then it's got to be Just Love Collective.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah,
Now we know.
yeah.
Now
Now
we
we know.
know.
Now we know. So, so she names what love is, she defines it. She then talks about how early we learn how not to love. Then she talks about honesty being like the ground zero. And then she hits us with commitment.
Yep.
What came up for you all around her naming of commitment as being essential? Because she's talking about a commitment to truth telling, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And to ourselves,
Mm,
self-esteem, the six pillars of self-esteem, uh, uh, living consciously, self-acceptance, self-responsibility, self-assertiveness, living purposefully, and the practice of personal integrity.
mm,
Uh, uh, Yeah, so committing to that enables us uh, to get beyond, one of the most famous lines in movie history, "You can't handle the truth."
Yes,
Yeah, yeah. So it enables us to handle the truth.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Marcia, don't be shy.
One of the things that she talks about throughout the book, and we know if for those of our viewers who will watch this, if they don't know, Bell Hooks is a feminist, unapologetically so. And she really makes this case throughout the book for the ways in which sexism and patriarchy work hand in hand in
Mm,
preserving lovelessness, right? And how, you know, and she doesn't say it's just men who do this, right? However, she does name this unwillingness, the
Yeah,
way our society makes the work of loving a feminine thing versus a people thing, that both men and women need love, both men and women need to experience love, and both men and women, once they've experienced love, can then actually create an environment where love, this love that cares about the thriving and the self actualization, the spiritual formation, spiritual the way the spirituality of another human being is really formed is fully fleshed out. Like she names that, and I was curious, did from your perspective, Chris, like how did that land for you, and Marcia, how did that land for
mm.
you? Just her naming the that undertone.
yeah, yeah. And she says in here, this was the most difficult chapter for her to write.
Yeah.
Um, what landed for me as you were talking about that was something we did at Union College, uh, and it was something that was called "I Am a Feminist."
Mm.
And so people on campus, I don't know if you were around then, Marcia, uh, they took a picture of us and it said, "I'm a feminist because," and so men and women all over campus, staff, faculty, students, all talked about why we are feminists. We are
Mm-hmm.
feminists because.
I don't remember that.
Yeah. Um, might have been before your time.
Maybe.
Yeah. I think it was this millennium though. Anyway, it was revelatory to see so many different types of people and to hear so many different reasons why we are feminists. And basically, it boils down to love and honesty,
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
and justice.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and that was a wonderful experience. So these pictures were up all through administration lobby.
mm.
Uh,
That would have been beautiful to see. I feel like I would have remembered that.
yeah, probably would have.
And I wonder if that would fly now.
What a concept.
Mm.
Yeah, I would love to try to repeat that, Chris.
Yeah, I'll help however I can.
Yeah.
Go
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I don't want to say the burden of being loving, but I refuse to call it a burden because it certainly isn't one, but I mean if it is a verb
Mm-hmm.
and it falls upon the women to be that. Um, I don't know. It it should it should be 100% 100%
Mm-hmm.
um, from all,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but
And I think that's what she challenges the readers
yeah,
to, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's naming and saying, hey, if we follow love, if we follow this idea of what it means to be human from a male patriarchal lens, it's about power, it's about oppression, it's about domination, it's about who's on top. And she doesn't, like not name that women also can function in that way of power and domination. She just really, I found it interesting for her just like build this case all the way through. That if we only have one lens of identifying what it means to be human, and if that lens is lovelessness, if
Yeah.
that lens puts power at the center, if that lens, poo-poos on gentleness, kindness, grace, listening,
That part.
affirming, as and only putting it, as you said, Marcia, on the as a softer skill that women, allegedly inherently have, as
Those
opposed
are
to
the words I could not find. Thank you.
yeah, yeah, as opposed to saying no. Again, if in the home from the very beginning, those who are parenting themselves have experienced love, then both children, or whoever is it, all the people in the home are going to experience love, right?
Mm.
And then she leads us to divine love, right?
Hmm.
Even though she's writing, I think that this is the thing I didn't want to talk about in our pre-thing. I found it fascinating that as she has done all this research on love and looking at who are the authors of love stories, and she names it, right? Men become the authors of true love. Even women are reading male authors to define what love is. And when women write, it's only in the realm of romantic love, right? Like that's the only love that we can talk about. And yet, even when women write, they're looking to men to say, "Oh yeah, you got it right." And I found it fascinating that while she's writing for a secular audience, unapologetically, she talks about God. Like there's like
See,
you
and I jumped straight into the audiobook as I found it on Spotify, like literally 2 minutes after you texted me about participating in this.
yeah.
And then I text Dillis back and be like, I said, "Oh, this book circle is going to be a therapy session." Um, I knew nothing about the author.
Uh-huh.
I knew nothing about the author's intent for who the audience was going to be.
Hmm.
And so I'm listening along. Our dishwasher broke, and so my time in of loving manual labor was spent listening to this book.
Uh-huh.
And so when she's talking about what love is and divine love and wrapping it up with talking about angels and stuff, I'm just like, yeah, this is a Christian book. They probably have this down at the ABC across the street. You're telling me
Ah,
she's writing to a secular
come
audience?
on. Ah,
Yeah.
ah,
What?
Yeah.
No.
ah.
There's nothing secular about this.
Correct.
At
Um,
the ABC. I love it.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right next to Imagine Life, which everybody should go pick up a copy of
Yes.
by Mr. Chris Blake. Read page 47. Yes, that one.
Yeah. 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 That
No,
is
Ah,
I
fascinating.
didn't pick up on the fact that it was written with a secular audience in mind,
yeah.
because everything that she said about the concept of like, what is it to be loving? I'm just like, okay, well, homegirl read the Beatitudes. Like,
Yeah.
Right. Right, and she did because she did grow up in a home where she that was rooted in Christianity. However, as a college professor living working at, I think it was at Yale, I think it was she was teaching, and having lived in New York and other places and working in an academic environment, this book is this manifesto to any one of her colleagues. I think to just kind of say, hey. We've got it wrong if love is not the place that we start from. And I was just tickled pink that
yeah, no, I didn't get secular
hmm
from anything. I got like religion class from someone who knows what they're talking about.
wow, wow, wow.
It was refreshing.
Yeah. Chris, what about you? What did you am I picking am I
Yeah, this is my second favorite chapter. Uh, Here in the middle of it, she says, usually fundamentalists, be they Christian, Muslim, or any faith,
hmm
shape and interpret religious thought to make it conform to and legitimize a conservative status quo.
mm,
Fundamentalist thinkers use religion to justify supporting imperialism, militarism, sexism, racism, homophobia.
Mm.
They deny the unifying message of love, which is at the heart of every major religious tradition.
Mm-hmm.
You know, uh,
That's it.
That's
so
it.
she's hitting it. You know, she had me hooked, and I was hooked
Haha.
with bells on it.
Yeah,
Uh, some people will get that. Uh,
I see you.
I see you. I'm there too.
Love, MLK, love is somehow the key that unlocks the door which leads to ultimate reality. Ooh, I
Mm.
love that.
Mm-hmm.
And then she gets into the community aspect.
Yeah.
And that's where Just Love Collective, you know, we're trying to build this community from the ground up. Um, Much as I enjoy popular New Age commentary on love, I'm often struck by the dangerous narcissism fostered by spiritual rhetoric that paid so much attention to individual self improvement
Mm-hmm.
and so little to the practice of love within the context of community.
Mm-hmm.
Love and community is that's divine love
Yeah.
right
Yep.
there.
Yeah. And I am, like I said, listened to the book from the perspective of, I don't. She's not writing to the church. She's just writing for to the culture, and all I keep hearing reverberating over and over again throughout this whole book is love God, love your neighbor, love your neighbor, love your neighbor as yourself. Right, that's just over and over again is what I keep picking up on,
That's right.
and what I'm leaning into as I'm going through this. And she talks about this love becoming the ethic that guides the way we navigate the world. And I don't know, I said I wasn't going to do chapter by chapter. And I want to get to the chapters that, Marcia, you were like, the last half of the book is where you got really excited. So when I think about the work of Just Love Collective, and I look at how Bell Hooks puts love and justice together as being inseparable, because for her,
Hmm.
you cannot say you love and support or see injustice happening and not want to respond to it, right? So,
Hmm.
interestingly enough, we are the Just Love Collective. I think that's our commitment too, right? This idea that if we're going to look at equity for all, if we're going to look at navigating the stances that are coming out of our governments around immigration, um,
Hmm.
housing, we look at our LGBTQ plus siblings. Can we say we love if we don't respond to injustice?
Mm.
No,
I love how emphatic that was.
no, we can't. We have to be visibly. We have to have visible allyship, because if we just keep our allyship a secret, what good does it do?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
the salt that loses its saltiness, if
Migration. Yeah.
keep your light under a bushel. No. Oh, Sabbath school lesson.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
No, I mean, for crying out loud, if I, if a student who's not out yet doesn't know that they have a friend in me, do they really have a friend in me?
Mm. Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
And what pushes us back, what the pushback is there's too much. There's too much injustice. I can't respond to all of it,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-mm.
know? And so we are overstimulated. What Alvin Toffler wrote about, you know, in 1970s, future shock, we're in it. We're overstimulated, and so we start shutting down. We cannot respond to all of the injustice, and so we start shutting down in ways that truly matter, not just trivial ways, important ways.
That's
And
why, sorry to interrupt.
no,
I'm a
go, go,
barbarian.
go.
No, that's why it takes so many of us. You
Yes.
know, it means maybe I have a sticker on my door that has a rainbow on it. And
Yeah.
maybe Dillis has a sticker on her door that says Free Palestine. And maybe Chris has a sticker on his door with the Ukrainian, heart flag on it,
Hmm.
so that anyone who's going through something knows that they are seen and they are cared for.
Yeah.
A very wise professor told me something that I will never forget, and I repeat it to myself every day, is that you cannot die on every cross. You'll make yourself crazy.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And there are things,
Very wise. Very wise.
so wise. It's like I can hear his voice in my headset now. Um, sometimes I'll get a text from my mom that, oh, so and so, someone I haven't seen, since I moved away from Avon Park, Florida, so and so, died, or they were, um, injured, their sister from Pensacola passed away, or something. These are people I haven't seen in 30 years. Uh, Sorry to hear that. I'm not gonna, go home early and go sob into my pillow because I don't have the emotional bandwidth
Yeah.
to be broken
Yeah.
over everything, even though these are people who, yes, I care about them, and, they're not in my life anymore.
Hmm.
So let me
Um,
ask you this, Marcia, because what's coming to my mind is somebody who sort of attacked you because you were caring about a foreign war, a
I
war,
was,
this war between Russia and Ukraine. Why
yes,
should you? They were saying you were unprofessional. Why should you
yes,
care about that?
about wars that are not our own.
That's right.
So somebody replied to a campus services survey about the library, and they rated us a 2 out of 5 because we're pushing political agendas. It's unprofessional to be visibly supporting, either side of a war that is not our own. We have a colleague who is from Ukraine. They moved here right before the war happened, and her children walk through the library almost every day. I put those up for solidarity for those
Yep.
middle school aged little girls, middle school and elementary, one of whom goes to my daughter's school, the other one goes to my son's school. The day before the survey results hit me, a church member who's also Ukrainian, like, heralded me out of my office and was like, I was going to ask who had those in their window, but now I see it's you, so I'm not surprised. I'm like, oh, thanks, man. Um, so, no, I'm not sorry for my unprofessionalism for caring about a war that is not my own. Like,
Hmm.
no. So
And
it'll probably be more discussion on Monday.
and I think what you're saying, Marcia, because I want to stay here a little bit, is
Yeah.
it's proximity, right? This is what Brian
Yeah.
Stevenson, right, of Just Mercy says. Proximity to suffering creates empathy. And so
Yes.
while you lived in Pensacola, while there are people who had a part of your life and their deaths or illnesses, they do impact you, yes.
Mhm.
However, you're not proximate to them the way you are to these two girls, to these folks
Right.
who, based on how everybody is acting, because we don't live in Ukraine and we're not anywhere near Ukraine, it's not our problem. But yet it's their problem. And they are our
Yeah.
neighbors. And the commandment is to love God and to love
Yeah.
your neighbor. And what
Yeah.
the neighborly thing to do is to acknowledge that there's something happening that impacts you. I
Oh
find
my
it,
goodness,
yeah.
yes.
And I find it really fascinating when I meet Christians who say they follow this Jesus, who say when we name injustice in the world that it's political. Like, I'm so confused. I get so, I was like, how is this politics, guys? Like,
No.
how is this political when God says, love God with your whole being and love your neighbor. So then what
Mm-hmm.
concerns my neighbor concerns me.
Me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
And
Yes.
the what's coming to my mind is especially when injustice
Hmm.
is present.
Yes.
Mm.
When somebody dies, that's sad. It's not an injustice. It's not something that I could plausibly um, affect right now. I can comfort the survivors, yes, um, and our little church, we've got a basement, and we house refugees there. We've housed Ukrainian refugees there. We've supported ministries into Ukraine uh, through Markham Woods Church there in Florida with Doug Hart. Uh, and Afghan refugees. What can we do to battle against injustice? That really uh, that galvanizes me. You
Hmm.
know,
Yeah.
that's a distinction for me.
Hmm. And I think that's ultimately what Bell Hooks is talking about, right? Because what we're naming is an ethic that guides what we do,
Yeah,
right? And I love that whole thing about union is for lovers or it produces lovers. What did you say?
makes better lovers. Union makes better
Makes
lovers.
better lovers.
Yeah,
And it goes back again to this word love, how when you only have one understanding of the word love. So if the connotation that you have of love is only sexual and erotic, then you completely miss that God loved the world, that
yeah,
God sent God's one
Mm-hmm.
of a kind son, and whoever believes in this God, this Jesus, will not perish but have
Yeah.
everlasting life, because God did not send God's son into the world to condemn the world.
yeah,
And I'll also say if your only, understanding of love is the act of sexuality, then you're going to be so offended by my coffee mug that says that God loves the gays, because then you're saying, "Oh, Marsha's over there promoting sin."
When the truth of the matter is what we're promoting is love. So what does it
Yes.
look like? This morning I taught Bible study, right? And we're in our second to last week of the quarter, and it was talking about bearing witness. And and how do we share? And one of the questions I asked a couple of people who are in my Sabbath school today was, what hinders you from sharing talking, bearing, being a witness? And one of the comments was, well, when I used to work in an environment where everybody was Christian, I felt like I could. It was easier to share there. But now I'm in an environment where it's everybody isn't. And then I said,
yeah,
oh, okay. And then another person said, well, it's fear, right? And I said, okay, I hear you. I said, so then here's my question. What are you bearing witness about? Right? Well, they were like, the good news. Well, what is the good news? And until, because I said, if you are a drummer or you are a writer or an artist or whatever the thing is, if I go get something that I really love that's changed my life, you can't shut me up about that. Right? You're going to look at me and know something happened. Because I'm going to be like, I just,
Gillis, did you hear the good news about the dirty Dr. Pepper at Sonic?
that's bearing witness. Whether or not I like Dr. Pepper or not. And I think
Right.
this is the idea of having an ethic of love that is grounded in what comes out of what Jesus teaches, right? That
Hmm.
is love, that is patient, and it is kind, it's not easily provoked, it bears all things, it believes all things, it hopes. It's this love that's transformed me. Like I've been transformed by this love. I've experienced this love. It helped to rectify the love I didn't have in my family, right?
yeah,
The mistreatments that I had in my community. It is
yeah,
the love of God that has transformed me. And as a result of that, I cannot sit and be in spaces with people who are experiencing lovelessness. I can't do it, y'all. That's why I love this book.
oh, yeah, yeah. Um, well, that's your empathy oozing out right there. I know that's the case. It's yeah. I'm not going to speak more on that. Yeah. Well, I will say this, and I've said this before. I'm referring to myself no longer as a Christian because the word has been co-opted.
Mm,
Mm,
I
yep.
refer to myself as a follower of Jesus,
mhm,
and there is a distinction now. Uh, and all words are symbols; they're not the thing. Uh, and the symbol for Christian has been co-opted to something unrecognizable. And so, a follower of Jesus now, okay, now we can get down to what is this Jesus talking about, and what is this love? And I got to say, I've always been hung up a little bit on that First Corinthians, even though I put see First Corinthians 13 believes all things, because I don't believe all things. What does that mean? Ooh, I love to probe that, just to get down into it.
mhm,
What, what does it mean to to trust? Anyway,
mhm. So, what are some things you want to leave our viewing audience with? If they haven't been already titillated and said, "Hey, I want to read this book," what's something else that we haven't touched on in the time that we have remaining that you think we need to
We're
say to
done?
make the case? We're all yeah,
We just started.
we're
Goodness.
what are some things?
I think it was chapter 12. I'm not sure. There was a discussion of the love of power
Mm,
being a fear of vulnerability and a lack of love. And it made me think about the obsession of leadership training in higher ed.
mm-hmm.
And
In general, everybody.
in general,
Yeah, yeah.
we're training the young up to be leaders. And if everybody's a leader, who's following Jesus?
My.
And my good friend Jill Morstead, who I adore with every fiber of my soul,
my old
we
colleague.
Mm,
oh, I love her. We drafted a very simple followership fellowship for our
Eh,
university that I know will fall on no other ears other than our own, but it sure was fun to dream.
I love
send it to me, Marcia.
that.
Okay.
I
I
will. I
Yeah,
will.
I'd
I,
I
love
have it on my phone.
I'd appreciate that.
Yes.
That would be wonderful. I think the
Yeah.
yeah. Anything else, Marcia, that you want to get out?
When angels speak of love and the comfort of angels, I recently read a book in which it was the sequel to A Wrinkle in Time. I don't know if you ever read those books. I just got around to reading them because my daughter and I are going through them, and I read A Wind in the Door, and this genius child sees dragons out in the pasture, and when they get up close, it turns out it is one single cherubim. It's a biblically accurate
Mm-hmm.
angel character. And so when I'm picturing, wrestling with angels or hark the herald angels sing, now I picture this dragon, herd of dragon type
Uh,
creature, and I just like it better. So thanks to Madeline Langle for
yeah.
writing a beautiful, beautiful book. Highly recommend. A
Mm-hmm.
Wrinkle in Time and A Wind in the Door and everything else she's written. Those are excellent banned books.
Mm-hmm.
You had to get that in right at the end. Yeah,
Literary freedom, y'all.
yeah.
Yes.
Well played.
Yes.
Yeah. I guess for me, this book, what I would like people to know about it is kind of the way I look at Jesus. Is Jesus is love with skin on it,
Mm.
Yes.
and this puts some skin on love in different ways, so that love is action. Love is defined. Love is spiritual. Love is practical. Uh, love is redemptive. Uh, and love is honest. As I mentioned, um, it's worthwhile reading to look at that. After you're through with Imagine Life, uh,
Yes.
and checking this out and sharing it. Yeah, sharing it.
This has been great. I know this is not the last conversation that I'm going to have about this book, All About Love by Bell Hooks. Um, I think as we continue to confront lovelessness, as we continue to um, confront the injustices that are happen either in our individual lives, in our communities, in our churches, in our spaces of work, that the invitation is to come back to the kind of love that she defines that is embodied in Jesus Christ. You know, it is we have a God who is God who becomes human in order to show us how to be human and how to really live the life of humanity. And like you, Chris, I am defining myself as an apprentice to Jesus. That's who I am. I'm
Yeah,
ever learning how to be like Jesus.
yeah,
And if I'm going to be guilty of that, then I want to be guilty of loving God and loving my neighbor as I
that's
love myself. And for anybody out there who is still trying to figure out what love is, I'm holding the book up. If anybody out there is looking for healing around the ways you've experienced lovelessness, I invite you to grab this book, grab your word, grab some food, get around a table, just reflect, read, pray, be inspired, and let's go make a difference for our neighbors.
that's
That's right.
good. Amen. And it sounds like we're being played off like the Oscars here.
No, we're not. But this has been great hanging
I'd
out with
like to thank the collective.
And all those people never actually thank anybody. They would just like to. Uh,
Yes, yes, they would just like to. You're
yeah,
right.
nobody's ever been thanked.
you. Yeah,
They would like to, but I'm not going to.
yeah,
You like me. You really like me.
yeah. Well, I thank both of you, Marcia Nordmeyer and you, Chris Blake, for joining me this afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you are, catching this book circle conversation later on. And we would love to hear from you. So why don't you drop us an email? You can send it to events@justlovecollective.org. Let us know what you think about this book and if you're doing anything else. As Chris said, as we named today, love is an action, and we want to be people who are about the work of just love. And we don't want to do it by ourselves. So take care till we see you next time.
Verb the love.